This shit, baby.
Alright, and that's the intro. Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Controller Slot B. Rat's here, and how's it going, Rat? I want to run things past you first. What's going on?
I'm a little man. No idea. Small brain.
Alright then, we've got a guest this week. We've got a guest this week, Rat. Things are happening.
We got several rats today.
Yeah, several rats. Jack is here. JakkChiptune. What's good? How are things? What's good? Just violent screaming.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm JakkChiptune. I'm a chiptune composer. I make metal. I'm also a digital artist. You can find me on Bandcamp. You can find me on Twitter. It's all them good shit. And maybe if they like me enough, I'll be the third host.
Oh no.
Oh no. Rat-based takeover of the show. Okay, alright. Before we've got a lot on the docket today. We've got a lot of not a lot of topics, but we've got a lot of big topics. But before we get into any of that, Jack, you do music. What's that like? What goes on with that? How's your process?
I open up Family Tracker. I make bleeps and bloops. Sometimes it'll be on my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/JakkChiptune, which you can catch every Mondays, Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Sometimes we make music, sometimes we play Pathfinder First Edition, and sometimes we play video games. Currently going on is a Virgil retrospective, because Virgil comes out literally next week for everybody else who has Devil May Cry 5 and didn't get the fucking PS5. Stop scalping the PS5!
Yeah, let the man have a PS5. It's not that hard.
Let this man have the PS5. Let it have a thing.
Give me the PS5. Come on, man. I'm fiending.
I'm glad oh god, I'm glad I don't do consoles. I'm so glad I don't do consoles. But if I was, like my brother-in-law over here is also foaming at the mouth. So yeah, it sounds about right. This is normal.
Well, it's because my PC is, it's doo-doo, so, like, it can't run all the fucking, one of the reasons...
sound?
One of the reasons why, like, if I was ever to consider even getting Cyberpunk 2077, my computer won't be able to handle it, probably.
Oh my goodness.
So I probably would have to get it on consoles. And fuck all if I'm getting it on PS4.
So I'm running. Speaking of PCs being dog shit, I do a lot of things with. I have a 1050 Ti in here, and I do a lot of things with this 1050 Ti that the 1050 Ti was not built for under any circumstances.
Bro, give me your graphics card. Holy shit.
It's a great I stand by the 1050 Ti as a purchase in 2020 for basic 1080p gaming. Like, it is still an amazing card for the price.
I have a 750 Ti, and for somehow black magic is within my computer. I do not know how. It can run Doom Eternal. Oh. Not well, but it can run Doom Eternal.
It can certainly do Doom Eternal, trust me.
But speaking of Doom Eternal,
we're talking about Doom Eternal?
Boys, do we know what today is?
Yeah. Game Awards. Well, yesterday, as according to when this came out. So, yeah, predictions. You want to make some predictions?
I guess, yeah, we should reference. We are
we're in the past.
We're technically in the past. The Game Awards haven't happened yet.
Yeah.
So, this won't come up until tomorrow, according to the director of this podcast. So I am taking shots in the dark. While I scroll through these categories and give my predictions. Right.
Right. So go ahead.
I'm going to say Game of the Year for last. And there's a very specific reason for that, but
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna start with best game direction. We got Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, and The Last of Us Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 3 games in these categories that I would really like to win. And then there's 1 game in this category which I will probably know.
Okay. So I know which one we. I'm making an assumption, Jack.
Yeah.
I'm reading your mind. I've got my. I've sent out my feelers. I've got several tendrils in you right now, and I believe that I think I know which game you don't want to win.
Yeah, what game would that be?
Last of Us.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one.
Everybody's
yeah,
on the same page on that one.
Right, so I'm glad we're on the same page on that one. I don't
I,
think.
I remember, like, there was a tweet that I saw in my timeline not too long ago. Is like one of the people who worked on Hades was like, really proud to see like this game being put against like the gods and whatnot. And then
Mm-hmm.
like there was Neil Druckmann's tweet where it's like every vote every vote for Last of Us makes the haters lose his caps lock or whatever. And I was like, if hate like there's so like the 3 games that I really want to win: Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Half-Life Alyx. Final Fantasy VII, I do not have a horse in that race because I didn't play it, so I don't have like a frame of reference really.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ghost of Tsushima, beautiful fucking game,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely beautiful. Direction on that is amazing. Story is pretty great. You know, Hades. Hades is just it's so good. It's so good.
There's a reason why Hades is up there, and the creators are humble. The team was treated well, and it allows you. I'm gonna give it right now without getting into the nitty gritty details of why every game is best, but I think Hades should win a lot of awards this year, and why I think Last of Us should win at grand total of 0 awards this year is that Hades allows you to pet dogs. Uh, Last of Us makes you kill dogs, and so really,
There's a
do we
clear
really?
winner here.
It's a clear winner. I have a bias. I
And
have a bias.
yeah. And Half-Life
Mm-hmm.
Alyx, obviously one of the strongest games that came out of March 2020. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't play it because um, I don't have a VR. Well, I have a VR setup, but I don't have a computer strong enough to run Half-Life Alyx. So, what I have consumed of Half-Life Alyx, I've consumed through osmosis from my friends and other people. But from what I've seen, the game looks great.
Yeah.
Stuff
If
like that.
if I'm not gonna go deep into this. I talked about this last week, and I believe I may have mentioned it week before last. But the fact that Half-Life Alyx is not nominated for Game of the Year is a clear and defined bias against VR by the committee itself. I swear to God,
Yeah,
because it's name another way that a new Half-Life game could drop that is on the same level as Half-Life Alyx and not be at least nominated for Game of the Year.
Half-Life 3.
You'd have to release it on the fucking Ouya for it not to make Game of the Year. Why?
Yeah.
Why is the fact that it's a VR game such a limiting factor? It could win Best VR. It's nominated for Best VR, and I'm happy about that. But I hate
I'm
that VR games are mostly snubbed to their own categories.
I think the reason why in this particular case is that everybody's computer might not be souped up to be even able to play it. So there is that.
Mm-hmm.
B, not everybody can probably play it because of motion sickness and whatnot, and people are
Right.
still we're still like, we're still in the baby phases of VR, despite how long VR has been around now.
Oh yeah, commercial VR has been a thing since 2013, and people who get into it today are still early adopters because
Right.
it's not a complete. They don't have it down to a science yet, really.
And we don't really have a lot of games outside of like Half-Life Alyx and Bloodwork, or not Bloodworks,
Boneworks.
Boneworks, that really give you a full like video game experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, full
So
and complete video game that would work just as well in desktop and doesn't work off the gimmick of hey, it's in VR, isn't that neat?
so I think it's one of those cases where it's just Half-Life Alyx is in such a weird place right now that they don't really know what to do with it. But then again, a lot of great games also came out this year, and we will talk about those momentarily. I'll try to speed through these real quick.
All right.
Best narrative: 13 Sentinels, Final Fantasy VII, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and Last of Us Part 2.
Right.
Obviously, I want Hades in there. Best art direction: Hades has my vote, but Ori is a very Ori and Ghost of Tsushima tie for a very close second, because both of those games are really beautiful, but I like Hades' aesthetic just a little bit more.
Right.
Best score and music: the standout ones are Doom Eternal, Hades, and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It's a Sophie's choice between Doom Eternal and Hades. Because Mick Gordon, obviously, he kills the soundtrack, whatever, game he touches. Darren Korb is also just a really good composer. Also, if you've played Hades, then you'll know that Darren Korb is the voice of Orpheus, Zagreus, and Skelly. The man has been around a lot in that game. On top of being the composer. So honestly, big ups to Darren Korb. Please work with me. Please. Please. Best audio design. We got Doom Eternal, Half-Life Alyx, Ghost of Tsushima, Resident Evil 3, and game I don't give two shits about.
I've forced my friend to go ahead and tell every single one of these categories, but replace that last game that we don't care about with Goemon's Great Adventure for the N64. It's so crazy that that's in every single one, despite it being made in 2006.
I do want to stop and say The Last of Us 2 is only nominated for anything because Sony paid for it to be. I am 90% certain. I accept this conspiracy as reality and refuse to believe otherwise.
So here's the weird thing about that, right? This is one of those weird games where it's like critically it reviewed well, but player base wise everybody hates it. And a very similar thing happened way back in 2013. Do you remember DMC Devil May Cry?
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't very good.
I really wish I didn't. I wish someone would bang me over the head several times.
So
so that I could forget.
So everybody fucking hates that game for the most part, right? Game sold well. Game reviewed actually all right. Although everybody was kind of in agreement that like the story was kind of gameplay and level design are pretty all right. And that's something that I kind of echo too, is that the story is awful, especially when compared to like what it's basing itself off of, which is Devil May Cry 3.
Right.
So you have a Diet Cola Dante and a Diet Dr. Pepper Virgil, and they both suck.
Are we talking about the PlayStation the PlayStation 2 version, right, or whatever it was? Are we talking about the old one or the new one?
No, we're talking about DMC Devil May Cry. This was the quote unquote reboot.
Oh yeah, okay.
That was developed by Ninja Theory, who is now doing Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, the Hellblade series, which is really good. They've also done Heavenly Sword, which not great gameplay wise, but story pretty solid. So it's like they have the ability to make good games, but it's just this clash of ideas that really just turned DMC into like a really bad time, man. Anyways, back to best audio design. I'm tied between Resident Evil 3 and Doom Eternal, because Resident Evil 3 isn't that great compared to the RE2 remake. However, its audio design is stellar, as good as Capcom has been doing for the past couple of days, or past couple of years, ever since their resurgence in 2017 with RE7. So my prediction's going to go to Resident Evil 3 for that. Best performance, we got two actresses from What's that one game that we decided to call it now?
Oh, Goemon's Great Adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, Goemon's Great Adventure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two actors from that were nominated.
Mhm.
Daisuke Tsuji as Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima, Logan Cunningham as Hades, and Nadi Jatir as Miles Morales. Now, here's a weird one for me. Haven't played Miles Morales yet, but I'm sure he does a very good job. I'm gonna say it's between Daisuke Tsuji and Logan Cunningham because Logan Cunningham has the most. It's like smooth. It's like cutting butter. Like it's so, it's so smooth to listen to.
Oh,
And
he does such a good job with it too. I agree.
it's like if you've heard him in other Supergiant games, he was the sword in Transistor. He was the narrator in Bastion. Um, like if you know what he sounds like, then like and you slap him over on Hades' voice, and it's just it's so good. But Suji definitely like he definitely has a stronger like acting performance. Hades is kind of one note, I'll admit, but he brings a really strong like booming vocal performance similar to um uh Christopher Judge, the guy who played Kratos in the most recent God of War.
Who also has an outstanding voice.
Yeah, it's like they both sort of fill in that same philosophy where he doesn't have to yell at you to be intimidating. You know what I mean?
He's a big dad. Both of them are big. Have the big dad voice, and if he says something, anything to you, right? Fear. There's a little bit of fear, a little bit of arousal, but that's not because of the passion. That's just because he's a big deep man. But that's understandable.
But yeah, it's one of those things where it's hard to pick between the two because Daisuke Tsuji definitely like shows his acting chops, and they're really fucking good, especially when it hits those hard emotional moments in Ghost of Tsushima. Logan Cunningham is just, you can give him a fucking cardboard box as like a character, and he'll make that box interesting somehow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my like toss up between those two.
Holy shit. Let me stop you there for just 1 second. Just 1 second. Is there any way we could cut this down to a couple more categories? Because we are now halfway through the show.
Yeah, we've been talking about
and
there are
24 Game Awards categories. We really do not have time.
I'm gonna
as much as I'm loving this conversation.
So
I'm gonna skim through them then. Best indie, it's between Carry On and Hades. Those are both really good.
I kind of want Carry On to win that one. I don't think it was very good, but I want Carry On to win that one.
Best mobile game, give it to Among Us.
Give it to Genshin.
If Genshin Impact gets it, I won't complain.
I will laugh so fucking hard.
Like, Genshin Impact is good. Among Us deserves it, though.
Best community support, give that shit to No Man's Sky. Holy fuck.
Well, poor fucking guys. We go from bad game, worst game of the century to, yeah, it's pretty good.
It's like it's fucking awesome now.
Like a phoenix, they rose from the ashes.
And also fuck Destiny 2 as of right now, because Beyond Light is just ugh.
Okay.
Best VR, Half-Life Alyx. That's no question. Innovation and accessibility. Give it a Grounded because fuck Valhalla, fuck Watch Dogs, and fuck Last of Us Part 2. Best action, Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah.
Best actor adventure.
Wholeheartedly agree. Yeah.
Best action adventure. I'm gonna give that to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah. You know what? I accept that. That was a very good game.
Best role playing because I haven't seen this fucking game in the Game Awards. Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Someone played that and said it made them cry.
Because it's like it's never usually up there. So it's like it's never been in like a Game Award show for like any of the running. So yeah, give it to fucking Yakuza. They earned it.
So let's go ahead and polish this off with a quick one. After some reconsideration and some thinking and some oh god, excuse me, and whatever that was. Hey, what's our game of the year, guys?
Oh yeah, we should probably top that off.
Yeah, we'll top it
your-
off with
what's your
game of the year real quick, I guess. Yeah.
What's your game of the year? Throw everything out. Forget the actual listing. What's your game of the year, Jack?
Oh, throwing out the actual listing.
Your personal game of the year. Yes.
What's your personal game of the year?
Okay, so I have a couple that are like fighting for the same spot. So you're gonna have to forgive me when I go off this tangent for a second.
All right.
Oh no. Okay. So what's your game of the year?
If Hades and Ultra Kill hadn't come out this year, it would have gone to Doom Eternal.
I can understand that.
But then Ancient Gods came out.
Oh no.
And then Ancient Gods made me realize I don't think I like Doom Eternal as much as I like these other games. Ultra Kill is everything that I like about Doom. It's fast paced and fucking balls to the wall, fucking shoot the demons. Hell is mankind is dead. Hell is blood is fuel. Hell is full. That's all you need to know. And it also has a style meter up at the top right corner, which obviously because I like Devil May Cry, that's my fucking jam.
You're talking Ultra Kill. Like, I haven't played it yet. It looks really fantastic, and everything I've seen of it just makes me, So that's on my list. I'll have to pick it up.
The only problem with it as of right now is that it's an early access, and they only have the first episode up. That is my only issue with it right now. It's a really solid game, and I just want more. That's all. Hades is a full, finished package. I've played the game since it was in early access. I've watched it being developed, and holy fuck, it turned out to be one of my favorite games of this year. Sorry, excuse me. It's turned out to be one of my favorite games of this year. Hands down, it beats every other game.
Right. Well, for me personally, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna be a big nasty cheater, man, because it technically came out this year. Super Mario 3D All-Star, no question. It's 3 old games, and they're 3 of my favorite games of all time, so I kind of have to go with that, even if it's a compilation. I don't care.
I accept it. Now, me personally, I'm giving my game of the year to Mystical Ninja starring Goemon.
Son of a bitch.
But actually, let me go ahead and give you a little bit of a side. We're gonna slide off here. You know what I think is now competing for my game of the year, right?
What?
Even though it's not going to be in the lineup. I'm fully enjoying, and we're gonna segue into one of our other topics. I'm fully enjoying Cyberpunk 2077.
Cyberpunk 2077. What are your first impressions, Rat? What's going through that big floppy-eared head of yours?
So yesterday I played 8 hours of the game.
Oh, right? Jesus fucking Christ!
I played it. I sat down with my good friend. With my good friend and a few more people in Discord, and just played through the game, let them choose dialogue choices, and just chill out for a few hours. And I started with a nomad, right, which is just someone who lives outside of the city, but we're coming into Night City for reasons. We met Jackie, who's a very cool dude. We did some spoilery things.
Let's not get too deep into spoiler territory, but yeah.
Yeah, and all that. And we spent 8 hours in what I thought was like really big portions of the game. After 8 hours for it to drop a gigantic twist at us, right, at the end of those 8 hours, right, and then throw up the title screen for Cyberpunk 2077. That was the prologue.
There's an 8-hour prologue.
It's probably 8 hours because I fucked around a lot. But
that's still substantial. No amount of fucking around can deny the fact that that's an 8-hour prologue. Maybe it's like 5 hours. But
Yeah,
like,
it's probably less than that. You could if you only focused on the main story and like knew exactly how to get there. I could see you getting that down to like 1 or 2 hours, right? I can't even imagine what speedrunning looks like in this game right now. That said,
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it's pretty easy with how everybody is just glitching out of the map.
I mean, the weirdest thing is I feel like I'm okay. So no, I'm gonna keep on topic to this one.
mhm.
8 hour prologue, lots of really cool side quests. We met one of the side quests involved a pair of twins that got their brains merged or whatever. I'm immersed, and it's one of the most lived in looking cities that I've seen in a video game in a long time, which
Mhm.
is something that I think people don't do cities. I don't think games do cities well, right? Because it's hard to get the ecosystem of a big city. Like Skyrim had cities that looked okay. They felt like cities, but it's hard to get the scope of hey, people live here. A lot of people live here in a
I
city.
think I
Mhm.
think I think a game that's done this really well, like recently,
Mhm.
uh, Spider-Man PS4.
Oh yeah, well that's New York. They know what New
Yeah.
York looks like. Like you can spend a day
That's
in New
not
York
making
and
a
still
city
be
from the
crazy.
ground up. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that said, you're right because Spider-Man does a very good job of that.
Mhm.
But my first impressions is the game's a lot of fun. Combat's good. Melee is overpowered as it should be. I
Mhm.
can punch people's heads off. And there seems to be no end of really neat shit going on. So it's good.
And
And
you know
I
what the
think
best part is?
what's the best part?
There are three fucking completely different routes you can take through this story.
It's more than that.
It's amazing.
The Corpo
I mean, not
Nomad.
including like all the little branching paths you can go down.
Yeah, you're talking about the Corpo Nomad
Mhm.
and Street Kid. They only affect the beginning part of the game. The rest of the game is there's gonna be little parts of that, but it is cool that you can start off as different things. It's true.
Yeah,
I
it
think that's
really adds a little set of differentiation as to where otherwise it's with games like Skyrim, you've seen that opening cutscene 50 bazillion times because a replay of it's a good idea, but the fact that you have to go through the same thing every time at the start kind of sucks.
everyone has that. Everyone has that save file of just. Everyone has that save file they adjust right after the intro. Don't worry, we know.
Yeah.
Oh, now what about you? You've played a little bit of it. What do you think?
I've played approximately an hour and I could check Steam to get the exact hour number real quick. Just like around an hour and a half though.
Yeah,
So not a whole
pretty good.
lot because I let it install overnight, and no, 67 minutes, so barely over an hour.
Mhm.
But I let it install overnight last night because I was in again VR chat and I was talking to people and they're like, "Hey, Cyberpunk's out," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, it is. I should probably get off and go install that." So I did. Anyway, I sat down and started it this morning, and as much as you are immersed and enjoying it, I am enjoying it and am not in the slightest immersed. Everything it's the graphical design and how it tries to look super realistic, but it really comes off super flat in places, and it's uncanny. Especially human faces are not exactly the best.
I can see that. Like, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't get it as much, but I could see that being a thing.
Yeah. And it may be because recently I've been on a kick of playing games that require me to strap two monitors to my head, but like
Oh, that would be a problem, wouldn't it?
but like again, and it may also be that the opening of the game is extremely dark and I was playing in a very bright room this morning. But like I don't know, something about the graphics make everything feel so lovingly crafted yet artificial. Like it doesn't feel like if I see a can on the side of the road, I don't immediately think, "Oh, somebody dropped that there." No, I think, "Oh, well some designer had to model that can and put it there." And I feel like that docks points against the game for me. But otherwise, I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I can understand that. I've been enjoying it. I can see it being really fun. I'd like for them to optimize some stuff before I get it before I decide to stream it for real. But we'll see how things go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna toss my hat into this ring,
Yes.
Okay.
but unfortunately, my hat doesn't have any coins in it. or or no.
It's a nice hat. I'm gonna be honest.
It's a good-looking hat.
It's a very nice hat, and the reason why I'm tossing my hat into this is because I haven't played the game yet. Specifically because I have been waiting for actual people I watch and follow play the game before I decide whether or not it's worth my, $60-$70 now.
Right.
And the things that I have been seeing. so I'm saying this with I'm saying this with a very love-hate relationship with Cyberpunk in general. I love the I love hate the the Cyberpunk lore. Johnny Silverhand will always be one of the coolest motherfuckers in the game. But how do you work on a game for 5 years, crunch the shit out of it, and then end up with a game that looks like that?
How do you mean?
There was a funny Twitter video that I saw where it was, I swear it was like a short condensed Kroby Cat video, you know what I mean? Where they showed off the 2018 gameplay footage and whatnot, and then they showed off probably what you saw, Voxel, with with everybody kind of having everybody looks kind of like it doesn't look right, you know what I mean?
If you pointed a gun at my head and asked me what precisely is not right about it, I don't think I could tell you. It's just something in my dumb monkey brain knows this is fake immediately.
It's also another one of those things too where it's it's also another one of those things too where it's connected to a really beloved, albeit kind of weirdly franchises. I mean, granted, I think it's gotten better, content wise. Cyberpunk's a 30-year-old game by this point, and obviously a lot of things that were in that didn't age well. But I'm not going to go into specifics. Just know that it's I remember there was a couple of reviews that I think said how I feel about the game as of right now. And this is from somebody who hasn't played it yet. But there's a lot of visuals in the game that are really edgy and shocking, but sort of don't really serve a whole purpose in the game as a whole.
Oh, you mean cock and ball customization?
Well, there's that too, but that's just sort of weird.
And the fact that because that exists, sometimes if you open the menu just right, you can get a whole hog clipping through the pants.
Please, it's caught in a zipper.
Please.
All those glitches make me. I haven't seen that glitch, but I know which one you're talking about. Those glitches send my sides to orbit. But yes, but we're not an apolitical podcast. Yeah, no, there are some concerns about the game's the game's iconography. Am I saying that right?
Iconography.
Thank you. I've always seen. Okay, so quick confession. I've always seen that word spelled. I've never seen it spoken. So I'm like, I don't know how to say that word. But you're right. Yeah, the game's. Hey Brett, can you say that word one more time?
Iconography.
Thank you. The game's iconography is. when it's taken out of context of the game world, right, can seem atrocious and transphobic.
Well, well,
Hmm?
yeah, I get that, right?
Yeah. And
But
the thing is, it's valid too. That's a valid concern.
I think like even then, like even in the context, it's kind of weird. It's kind of off-putting. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like on one hand, I get it. That's just the type of dystopia that cyberpunk is, right? Um, sex sells, stuff like that. I should know.
Yeah, yeah. Here you are.
But I think there it comes to from a time where it's like something exists to add to the world building, and something exists just to like be a one note thing, and it's just you kind of look at it and then just walk away from it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it seems like a waste of time.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I guess like part of my brain on this is that it's the world, it's the setting, and it's meant to be awful. It's meant to be kind of like in poor taste, but that's just how the world is. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to write settings that are truly bad without it coming under the magnifying scope of the public, and that's fine. I'm gonna say right now the concerns are valid, right? And it's A plus.
and
That's what
I
it boils down to.
and I think people wouldn't um really com- not complain, that's not the right word, but I don't think people would have um worried too much if there was like a conversation that could have been open from like how corporations in the cyberpunk universe is sort of do kind of shitty things like that, but instead we're focusing, if I remember correctly, we're focusing on one particular company that is sort of like the overarching bad guy of the main game plot.
Yeah, Arasaka.
Yeah, so we're not going to go into too much spoilers, but
We're
you
not
know,
touching spoilers. Yeah, you're right. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
we're not touching spoilers. That's basically stuff that's been talked about in promotional material and whatnot. So,
We know it's bad.
Right.
um, but I think in my case it's like I'm gonna wait for that day one patch. I don't think getting it early was worth it.
No. The,
uh,
the
I'm gonna
seven.
wait, I'm gonna
Go on.
wait for that day one patch, and I'm gonna wait until people who I actually watch, like a really good example, G Man Lives,
Oh
really
yeah.
really great YouTuber, focuses a lot on retro shooters, boomer shooters. I really like his introspective about certain video games and whatnot, and I think people like him and Civi 11 and stuff like that could really dig deep into like what this game could be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And really feel and really be harsh on the game while being fair and honest. You know what I mean? So I'm sort of waiting for like those reviews and stuff like that to come out before I decide whether or not if this game is worth it and worth my time.
So,
Right.
so any final thoughts while we wrap that up and go to the next one? What do you guys
I
think?
don't have any.
Brain
I
smell
mean,
me.
at least they didn't shoot themselves in the foot like our next group of people, a certain director.
Oh, oh
Oh,
no.
we're getting into that.
Which,
Okay.
what happened? Which okay,
All right,
so
all right,
which
all right,
director
all
are we
right.
talking
I'll
about?
run you through this. I'll run you through this.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm sitting down. I'm ready.
All right. So the Monster Hunter movie came out in China.
Oh no.
Yeah, you can probably tell where
Oh,
this is about to
no.
go.
Okay. Well, I don't. It already gives me complete dread.
And if you'll open that Twitter thread there that's linked below it, you'll be able to see what the exact joke was and everything. And again, it's one of those things like with Cyberpunk that in context kind of makes sense a little bit, even though it's kind of not necessary. And out of context, it's just blatantly stupid. I do want to say that not only is it stupid, it is double stupid because the movie is partially funded by Tencent. Why are you making jokes against Chinese people for a film that is partially funded by Tencent? What kind of a moron would even consider it? I don't like censorship, but I understand when you should fucking play your hand and when you shouldn't.
I have this weird. Obviously, I can't see what the clip is as of right now because the clip has been.
Yeah, the clip has been removed from Twitter.
The clip has been removed from Twitter, but even then, I feel like, is the character inherently racist? Because I'm assuming you saw the clip, right?
I did see the clip, and I know the joke that was said, and it was an old playground thing as far as I remember, and this is why I don't think it's as stupid. This is why half of me's like, that's the stupidest thing you could have done, and the other half of me's like, well, I can understand. But so it was an old playground thing, and it's a thing that like children would say, and I assume it has military origins of some kind from like World War II or so. But you know, and I've heard this phrase said since I was like 5 or 6, so I never stopped to consider, hey, that's a racist thing. Maybe you shouldn't say that or have people say that in a script until this came up, and then that's when I really thought about it, and I'm like, you know, yeah, that is kind of a little not okay.
That is a little racist.
And so I could see how that made it into the first draft of the script, but it becomes a stupid thing when you think about the script writing process and how many people have to see that script before it makes it to a screen. Like, before there's even a cut of the film made. And even then, more people are going to see that cut. People are going to be there on shooting day, hearing that line multiple times. How did no one at any point say, hey, maybe this isn't the best idea?
I'm going to do some research real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Because I need to know who was the screenplay writer for this movie. I have a theory about who it is, but I need a confirmation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Feel free to look at that while you can, before you go too deep.
If it is who I... Yeah! Alright, so...
Mm-hmm.
This only goes to show how much of a piece of shit Paul W.S. Anderson is.
Yeah, alright.
No.
Because the only person that I could think about who would be dumb enough to play his racism card right in his fucking movie...
Oh my god.
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Like,
and if obviously if I don't know if your followers, you know, follow the Capcom movie universe or whatever. Paul W.S. Anderson is very famous for making one of the best video game movies, Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
A really strong horror movie that we will never see a director's cut to because they were all abandoned in a fucking desert for some reason.
oh no.
Oh no.
And then we have the Resident Evil movies, otherwise known as I Love My Fucking Wife movies.
I love my wife! Wife's good!
So when I hear that this Monster Hunter movie, which originally took props from a Dino Crisis movie,
mm-hmm.
and just slap a Monster Hunter coat of paint onto them,
right?
I am not surprised that Paul W.S. Anderson thought it would be alright to put a line, which granted would probably some fucking military jargon. It's not okay in any way, shape, or form.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's okay in the slightest. I'm just saying how one could go their whole life without realizing that this is not an okay thing to say. Because it without actually looking at what you're saying, you know.
And if you get a chance, please put the actual like Twitter thread and like whatever descriptions you can, because I do think this is like a really interesting and good read, because there's a lot of stuff about like how people went through, you know, there's a lot of stuff about how people of, you know, Asian descent went through, like, hearing that so many times around the playground and how that made them feel, and it's just fucked. You know what I mean?
Children are monsters, dude.
but it's just like, it's one of those cases where it's like, you know, this movie is going to be released, like, not only in, you know, in China, in the Asian countries, but around the fucking world. Everybody's going to be pissed off at this line. Who are you trying to entertain?
Yeah, who does this appeal to?
And I could talk about, like, why the Monster Hunter movie in general just fucking sucks. You know what I mean? Like, I was, like, straight up, I was gonna pirate this movie. I was gonna pirate this movie super fucking hard, because Paul W.S. Anderson does not deserve my money. Capcom deserves my money, and they get it from making fucking amazing games. However, this is just awful. This is just, like, the only good thing I could say about this movie is that the CG looks fine.
Those guys that worked on the graphics are pretty okay.
It's like, I would have rather it just been like Monster Hunter doing Monster Hunter things, like, that's it. But rather, we gotta have a fucking isekai for some reason.
Oh no, it is an isekai, isn't it?
It is!
Oh, I don't like that. Thanks for reminding me.
Alright. Wrapping it up, though, Monster Hunter movie does dumb thing. Who could have guessed video game movie wouldn't be great?
But speaking of video game companies in probably tight spots right now.
This is our last topic of the night, because it is currently 46 minutes into the episode. So I do want to hit one last one. We did really slam this, and we still got stuff left over for next week. That's gonna be intense.
Hell yeah!
Nintendo, John Nintendo himself. I wanna speak directly into the hearts and minds of Nintendo for a moment.
Isn't it Bowser?
Yeah, it is Doug Bowser. It's insane that more of this fucking evil shit that Nintendo did lines up coincidentally with Doug Bowser coming in. I'm not saying Doug Bowser's a bad guy, but Doug Bowser was pretty much in charge the whole time. Like, he was Reggie's second in command for a bit, if I remember correctly. So he had the power to do this shit. Yeah?
I would like to reference, before the fact that we get super deep into this, that all of this cease and desist stuff actually still happened while Satoru Iwata happened.
Oh no, I was just making a gag. I know it's not a new thing.
They've always had this sort of mentality. It's just now we're getting wise to it.
And they seem to be doing more stuff though.
More publicly. Anyway,
it's more back to back, especially now.
Yeah, I do want to delve though on this topic, and I'm probably gonna rant just a little bit. This is gonna be a long one, folks. All right, this is gonna be the biggest ending topic we've had in a while. But why? All right, I need to explain the story before we actually get into why. All right, so Etika passed away last year. Rest in peace. Beloved man. Loved him to death, and now he's gone, and it's real sad. And I think about him every few days, and it's not fun. So he committed suicide last year, for anyone who didn't know, and he was a huge Nintendo streamer, and he streamed a bunch of stuff. And so people were going to release custom Joy-Cons with his logo on them. Not the Joy-Cons themselves, the shells. That's an important distinction. Just the shells. And you would get the shells, take the controller apart, put the shells on there yourself, and that would be done. Basically just an advanced D-brand skin, if anything. So, what happened was they were making these in memoriam, and then they were going to sell the shells, and all the proceeds would go straight to suicide prevention charities. And isn't that a lovely thing? That is amazing. Before I bitch at Nintendo for minutes on end, I do want to say that is lovely of them for them to think to do this in his name.
And I definitely recommend is that if this cease and desist does clear up in any way, shape, or form, and they're able to come back and do what they do, you should probably get on that, because suicide is a very serious matter, no matter which way you look at it. If especially in the times we're facing right now with the pandemic, and being essentially closed off from one another, it's really easy to get depressed. And if you need help, feel free to reach out to whoever you need to, especially see a therapist if you can and when you can, because that shit isn't it's not, you don't mess around with that. It's really important.
It's a tough thing, and if you think you need help, or even if you don't think you need help and people are telling you need it, it could not hurt. Speak to someone. Speak to someone about it at least. And conversely, if you do not need help personally, and you're in an okay mental state, and you're in an okay financial state, if they can't manage to get past this cease and desist, which I highly doubt they will because Nintendo's lawyers are ruthless, if they can't get past this, I highly recommend seeking out foundations and charities that would help with suicide prevention and giving them your money. Take the money you would have spent on this and just donate it. It would help a lot for a lot of people, and I'm sure your donation would be appreciated. And that is an official word from the podcast to go do that if you can. But
yeah, donate if you can.
Yeah, leaning back into this particular story, they're selling the shells, and Nintendo says, "Hey, fuck you and the charities you support. We're gonna send you a cease and desist because this is our controller design." Even though making custom shells is completely within their right to do. Many other companies do it, and it has not been a problem until this particular one. And that's what really... If they were selling the shells already on the controllers, maybe they'd have half a case. In fact, they would have a case, and they would win. They're gonna win regardless if it goes to court, and it's not, because nobody's fucking stupid enough to step up to Nintendo like that. But Nintendo makes so many good games, and I would be lying if I said because of this I'm gonna stop buying things from this company. But they need to do better. And I live for the day... I'm not gonna sit here and say fuck Nintendo, because they make good things. But I live for the day that Nintendo becomes an honest, good company and doesn't fuck people over. I get that they're a big corporation and that's kind of in the nature of it, but come on. Can they honestly say that this, in particular, would lose them any money out of their bottom line whatsoever? Because you already have to have the controller. Applying the shells is like completely different. You can't buy shells directly from Nintendo.
I think this is one of those other cases where I don't think people would have kept a keen eye on this unless for the fact that not only this, but very recently they sent a cease and desist to Big House for the use of Slippy.
Yeah, and free melee is still a thing that's going on. We talked about that last week. If you want to go check that episode out, please feel free. Alright, that's enough plugging. Yeah, but you're saying...
Hey, listen to this podcast you're listening to.
Yeah, listen to another episode, why don't you?
Hey, sit down with
I think on top of this, too, because I was scrolling through Twitter, and I just saw this. This is going to sting really hard when they announced that new fighter today during the Game Awards.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh.
Listen, as much as I hate Nintendo and as somber as this is, I am still going to be extremely hyped for that. I care a lot, and it's going to make me real sad that they're doing this. But again, I'd be a liar and a hypocrite if I said that everybody should stop supporting Nintendo outright.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I think this is a good way to go and maybe wrap up or final topic.
We should.
I want to if I have permission.
Yeah.
Final thoughts. Go ahead.
I want to segue into actually one more topic because.
Oh no!
Oh
okay.
God! All right, it's got to be a short one. What are we going for here?
Fucking Tom Tills.
Oh no! This is not gonna be a short one. Are we?
No,
We've got to wrap up. We've got to wrap up.
So
Please.
okay. No, Jack. Tell you what. If everything goes well and the stars align, we can talk about Tom Tills next time.
We're gonna talk about him next week, but we'll see. We'll see about getting you back for next week, though.
That's a 30-minute. That is a 30-minute argument that I'm about and ready to have.
I am extremely prepared with several thoughts about how stupid this man is and how you should. Oh, that bill's going through. Is gonna be, or that proposal's gonna be voted on tomorrow. Actually, today, as of this podcast. So. We live in a post whether this gets approved or not world, and I'm 90% sure it won't. And in the event that it does, which it won't, but in the event that it does, write your local officials for your state and attempt to have this repealed. Like, just fucking write them. And if that doesn't work, even if it doesn't, I'm not going to go deep. Even if it doesn't get voted, even if it doesn't get voted through and passed, still write to your officials talking about how stupid this man is. Write to him and tell him how stupid he is. Jesus Christ, roast this man up and down, please.
So to give a slight context, we won't go into it for super big detail, just because apparently these guys just want to do an hour podcast.
Well, we don't have several hours to do a podcast. We're way over time already.
But to just give, I'm going to read you the headline. U.S. Senator Tom Tillis wants Twitch streamers to face jail time for DMCA strikes.
Mm-hmm.
So with particular people like me, that's fucked.
That is extremely fucked.
But I can only throw in my two hats and say, don't let this man get away with it, obviously.
God, where are you getting all these hats from? Who's your dealer, man? Where do you get them?
This rat collects hats.
I have a lot of hats that you can get from my merch store.
What a
talking about merch stores, go do your thing, please. Plug your shit. We're at the end of the show. We gotta end sometime soon, okay. And we got time for a plug though. Go ahead.
So you can find me on Twitter, twitter.com/@JakkChiptune. You can find me. I'm going to be streaming tonight. Well, I guess I'll be streaming yesterday on Twitch.
For all you time travelers out there.
Twitch.tv/JakkChiptune. I think I will be watching the Game Awards because I completely forgot that the Game Awards was a thing today.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to set up an impromptu watch party for that at some point.
and you know what? I might steal you boys to watch it with me.
How do you feel about that, Rat? You in to sit down and watch the Game Awards tonight?
I might be able to
hop in a Discord call and just vibe it out.
It depends on how much I'm going to be playing 2077, to be honest.
Well, you know what? How about you put down your stinky game?
It doesn't start till 7. You got a couple hours of 77 to get in.
I do have a couple of hours.
And then you know, I stream. Well, tonight was gonna be the music stream. However, Game Awards. So that's gonna be Saturday.
Which will be tomorrow, as of this episode's release.
Correct. So yeah, that'll be that. We're working on a Necrogoblicon cover, which is pretty sick. I know 2 members of the band, Rainbow Dragon Eyes, and fucking the lead singer of the band, which is really neat. Those are really cool guys. If you like metal and you like goofy metal about goblins, you should give them a listen. They're on all streaming platforms, yada yada yada. In terms of my music, it is also available on all streaming platforms. But if you were listening to this on Friday, which is today. Today is Bandcamp Friday, which means artists are getting 100% of the revenue that you give us.
Go support an artist. Go. Do it.
So you can find my music at jackmouse.bandcamp.com. That is JakkMau5.bandcamp.com. You can get all my music, and you'd be supporting a local metal chiptune artist. And I would really appreciate that, because I could pay my fucking rent! And get a fucking PS5.
Yeah, gotta pay them taxes.
I like the concept. I like the concept that Jack's priorities are rent and then PS.
I like the concept that Jack is so pumped about paying the rent.
Rent.
all right, Rat. You wanna do a quick plug before we get out of here?
I'm a salty rat. I have a smooth brain and it's very stackable. It's made out of marble. You can find me on a salty rat. You can find me at twitch.tv at a salty rat.
asaltyrat.com.
It's man, what if I'd made? Okay, I'm going on Wix. Hold on.
Hey, it's cheap. You can do it.
I hear it's cheap. Anyway, yeah, you can find me. I stream occasionally, and then you can see me post hee-hoo funny stuff on Twitter. It's at a salty rat.
He's very horny.
Am I?
So
I've seen your Twitter.
Oh, we're gonna get there. Don't worry about it.
All right. Quick plug from me, and then we'll head out of here. And I'll also plug the podcast shit. So, this has been Controller Slot B, a particularly chaotic episode of Controller Slot B, but it's certainly been an episode. This is, believe me, it's one of the better ones, and it's all downhill from here. But if you want to go check out the rest of them, we're on YouTube, and we're also on Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcast, pretty much anywhere you can find an audio podcast. Hosted through Anchor, so thank you to our hosts over at Anchor.
And if you like this episode and you want more chaotic episodes, you should add these two chuckle fucks and tell them to make me a permanent host on the podcast.
You know, I wasn't 100% about you a minute ago, but you said chuckle fucks, and now... But yeah, that's where you can find the podcast. You can find it on my channel over at Voxel64. And now we segue into Voxel64. I've got a channel. I do things. I stream. You wouldn't fucking believe it. That thing's collecting cobwebs over there. But I got a Twitch page. It exists. I stream. And there's also the YouTube stuff. You can find like last week's video about the revival of Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, and the new one that's coming out either this week or next week about.
I believe it's next week. With PC version being released on Epic Store only. For now, I believe it has timed exclusivity, and it's being released on consoles digitally, and I believe physicals will be released sometime eventually.
If you just can't wait for more Scott Pilgrim content, come over and watch the video about how they brought it back for the 10th anniversary. And if you are a Doom lover, I'm making a video currently about the development history of Doom 2016. So that's gonna be fun. You can check that out, or yeah, go watch more of the podcast though. This doesn't get enough love. I like doing this show. It's an excuse to talk to friends for a little bit. And we do video game news, but I don't want to plug too heavily the show. We gotta get out of here. All right, Jack.
I command to be the host.
Jack, we have a small tradition around here, in which we end the show with a very, very awkward ending. So how do you feel about a slow and awkward, possibly full minute ending, depending on when I hit the stop recording button?
Can I just riff?